Good morning everyone. This is Hajirunnisa from Commerce and Management Department. My today's topic is batch costing, calculation of economic batch quantity. That is, this economic batch quantity can be calculated with a formula. Before we move on with calculation of economic batch quantity, let us understand what is batch costing. Economic batch costing. Determination of economic batch quantity is the important work in batch costing. The two types of cost involved in batch costing, that is setup cost and carrying cost. If the batch size is increased, setup cost per unit will come down and the carrying cost will increase. If the batch size is reduced, setup cost per unit will increase and the carrying cost will come down. Economic batch quantity will balance these two opposing costs. Economic batch quantity is calculated by using the following formula. That is, EBQ is equal to root of 2 into annual demand and setup cost per batch divided by annual cost of storing 1 unit. So if annual rate of interest and cost of production given, the formula will be economic batch quantity 2 into annual demand and setup cost per batch. This remains the same, that is numerator. In case the rate of interest is given, we need to take rate of interest into production cost per unit. If rate of interest is not given, we are taking in the first formula only annual cost of storage per unit, that is production cost per unit. So here rate of interest is given, we are considering rate of interest. So by considering this depends on what is the information given in the problem and what is the requirement. Depending on that, we need to follow this formula. If rate of interest is given, second formula. If rate of interest is not given, this is the first formula given. So this is one and this is second. Okay, A stands for annual production and demand in units, annual production or demand in units. S stands for setup cost per batch. C stands for annual storage or it is carrying cost per unit. So this we can, considering this, we can calculate the economic batch quantity here. This is for the illustration problem number 4, wherein annual demand for a component it is 5000, unit setup cost per batch rupees 75, annual rate of interest is given 15%, cost of production per unit is rupees 80. So because rate of interest is given, we need to follow the second formula. This calculation can be done. Here we can calculate economic batch quantity with applying the formula 2 into annual demand into setup cost per batch divided by rate of interest into production cost per unit. So we can consider here root of 2 into 5000 is the annual demand into 75 is the setup cost per batch divided by rate of interest. Annual rate of interest is given 15% and cost of production per unit is given 80. So root of multiplication of all this, 2 into 5000 into 75, root of it is, this comes to 7,15,000 divided by 12. So 12 is 15% of 80. 15% of 80, it is 12 here. Then considering this 7,50,000 divided by 12, so we have to take root of as it is. This comes to 62,500. So when this root of is removed, then this comes to 25 units. So economic batch quantity here, it is 250 units. So with this, I hope with this you understand the calculation of economic batch quantity. Formula number 1, formula number 2. Here, in case of rate of interest is given, formula number 2. If no rate of interest is not given, then you have to consider number 1 formula, that is 2 into annual demand into setup cost per batch divided by annual cost of storing 1 unit. Here in the second formula, it is 2 into annual demand setup cost per batch. It is the numerator is the same, only the difference in the denominator. Here we are considering rate of interest into production cost per unit. So here A stands for annual production or demands in unit, S stands for setup cost per batch, C stands for annual holding or annual storage or carrying cost per unit. I hope you understand this. Thank you so much.